In this episode of Farm Matters, we take you back to eastern Uganda to revisit Edith in Kwen district and Jawan in Kapchorwa district. We will learn about nursery bed management, how to carry out successful transplanting of onions into the main garden, and best practices on how to start off your main garden. Due to prolonged drought and a lack of access to sufficient water, Edith's group nursery bed in the previous episode died out. However, she purchased red couch onion seeds for 9 acres, so she sows 2 acres every 2 weeks in order to spread the risk in regards to weather. She now ushers us to her latest nursery of 2 weeks old seedlings. While inspecting Edith's nursery bed, Taban Habib, an agronomist with Ezra Zaden, shares common corrections in a nursery bed to avoid loss of seedlings. It takes 5 to 10 days for seedlings in a nursery bed to germinate. When mulched, give sufficient water enough. Help the seedlings sprout.
You need only moisture to create temperatures into the soil so that the seeds can germinate. Not a lot of water. Seeds, if you give them a lot of water, they will die. Seeds are living organisms. Before they germinate, if you give them excess water, they will die. Dying of seeds, we call it rotting. They will rot. So, at that stage, before they germinate, they only require moisture. You only give them water to maintain that moisture, uniform moisture, so that they germinate. And these onion seeds germinate between 5 to 10 days, depending on the temperatures of the areas. Areas where the temperatures are higher, they germinate actually after 5 days. 5-6 days, you find all of them are out. But in areas where night temperatures tend to drop too much, goes to around 10 or below 15, they take around 7 to 10 days to germinate. But what it determines that is your water application here. If you give them a lot of water, they will be dormant, keeping them soft dormant because there's no temperature to activate them to grow, to come out. Yeah. So once they have germinated, assuming 7 days or 10 days, your seedlings, you have seen 50% have sprouted. Remove your what? Mulching. If you leave the mulching there, these seeds will, once they are out, they'll look for light. Remember, you have covered it. They don't have access to light. So if they are under that shade, they will struggle to look for light, and you find them growing, bending every side. So by the time you remove them, actually the disadvantage of leaving the mulch for longer, by the time when the seedlings have overgrown, they have penetrated through those the mulch material. By the time you are removing it, you are uprooting your seed. The moment you see 50% have germinated. Yeah. So when you see 50% are out, remove your mulch. Don't leave it. If you leave it, by the time you are removing the mulch, you are going to lose the 50%. These which have gone through. The mulch will remove them. No, when you are removing it, will uproot them. So do it when they are just 50% out.
After removing the mulch, water the seedlings gently.
The best time for removing mulch should be in the evening hours. Don't do it in the morning. Remove it in the evening hours. Once you remove it, give them water. Why? Why evening hours? Anyone can ask me why evening hours?
The temperatures are cool.
Exactly. These are babies. Babies, you need to handle them very, very careful. So the moment you expose them to daylight, like now these temperatures right now, tomorrow you'll start seeing others dropping out, dying. So to avoid that, you open your seedlings, remove the mulch in the evening hours. You remove, you give water. Then tomorrow morning you come and you give them water.
1 to 2 days after removing the mulch, apply preventative fungicide to the seedlings.
So you give them fungicide. Do it between the first day or the second day. Give them chemical. Then from there you can do schedule of every spray of 5 days, 7 days, depending on the temperatures. I mean the weather of the day, the weather of the week. If it's cloudy and I know these areas are having a lot of dews, you reduce the cycle, you come to 4 days. Every after 4 days, you give them chemical. If temperatures are okay, normal temperatures, you can extend your interval even up to even 2 weeks. What reduces the intervals of chemical application is the weather. Yeah. If it's bad weather, you have to reduce. If it's good weather, you go to the normal intervals, because most of the chemicals, the real intervals are between 7 to 14 days. When they are 4 days from the day of opening, that's where you start counting. 4 days, give them a starter fertilizer, foliar fertilizer, to start giving them energy to grow. Yeah, you can do that. There are so many foliar fertilizers in the market, very many for the nursery stage. There are very many. Any can work. Yeah, and then when they are between 5 and 7 days, give them an insecticide. Should also be preventative insecticide. They are also there.
Yeah.
When your seedlings reaches 4 weeks old, the foliar you have been giving them, which is a starter, change it to vegetative. That will help these seedlings to be strong enough and hardened. By the time you transplant them, they'll not feel the transplanting shock. Yeah.
At 4 days from malt removal, apply foliar fertilizer. Then at 5 to 7 days, apply a preventative insecticide. At 4 weeks, switch to a vegetative fertilizer to strengthen the seedlings and protect them from shock when transplanting. Always clear the weeds in your nursery.
Any bed has to be free from weeds. Then from there, we're going to just maintain this bed to make it proper, to look like a proper bed.
Also, ensure that the base of your ridges is leveled at the same distance with the top. This helps control soil erosion.
Put it only here, on the side. You leave the top. Scoop your soil, fill it well, up to this level. Take care of the seedlings. Water doesn't easily destroy it.
And we shall do it on this other one. Can we?
Where?
This one.
Yeah, if you can do it here, you can repeat all. Okay. And then if you don't level the top, the amount of the seeds you'll put will be less. And also, the water flow. Even when irrigating, if the bed is not flat enough, the water will not balance properly. You can water, the water keep on running on the sides. So you need to make the base really flat, so that any water you give doesn't escape. Okay, after like this, if you have made it like this, assuming now this, at least this one tries now to balance when you look the top and the base. It's a bit balanced. This it's almost the same size with the base. Now, when you see the amount of seeds you put here, practically I think you can see that the seeds were less. I don't know if I'm right.
Yeah.
On the side.
They should have been after.
On the
Yeah, on the
side.
sides.
Yeah.
That is one. Then even in between.
Really? Last time?
The spacing you left in between is too wide. You need more seeds. This is how many centimeters in between?
We were doing this.
And then here, actually it's better here you do this. You do this, you have this wider so that your seeds can be spaced properly. It shouldn't be congested. You see now like here, you see this, when they germinate all like this in one spot, these will compete on the nutrients, then end up having very tiny seedlings. So better you have spaced seedlings.
It's now time for questions, and Edith's gardener, John Wepukulu, has an insightful inquiry.
Na hii mvua imechelewa kupanda. Ama generator ya kuleta maji kwa shamba nipande imecheleweza mimi. Dawa gani yenye naweza pika hii vitunguu epike ekue kufumiliamo mpaka nifanye hii mpango ya kupanda?
Okay, don't get
What is he asking?
I got the question. The question is, what he's asking is that if he has prepared his nursery, the seedlings are ready for transplanting, and there is no water for transplanting, no rain for transplanting.
Yes.
Is there any chemical which he can use to keep the chemical, the seedlings dormant?
Yeah.
That's the question. Yeah, excellent question. Interesting. Yeah, basically, with the onions, it's not there. Onions bulb according to the day length. Once they are ready to start bulbing, even if they're in the nursery, if their days have reached, they will start. They will bulb.
Even the nursery bed.
In the nursery bed, yes, they will bulb from the nursery.
And when
the only way to control that, if you are worried, you don't know when the rains will start, or you don't have enough water source. There are two things you have to do. You either adjust on your sowing dates, or if you have already sowed your seeds, don't give them enough nutrients. Now you have to play with the nutrients. The moment you play with the nutrients, the seedlings will be tiny. They don't grow very fast. From there, you can push them with 1 or 2 weeks ahead. But if you give them the leaves, so long as the number of leaves, they are 4, 5, they will start bulbing.
Finally, Taban gives a summary report on how Edith's nursery is performing.
You already have dumping off.
Yeah.
You saw the seedlings are like falling off.
Yeah.
Okay.
The amount of water was not enough.
Because most of them dried up and then they started falling down.
Yes. So it caused that. But since now rains are on, you get carbendazim, and then you get foliar fertilizer. Which one do you have?
Starter.
Yeah. Spray it as soon as possible. Even today, if possible.
Actually, we were supposed
put there the starter. Then tomorrow you come with carbendazim. If you have it. If you don't have it, you can get it. Mistress, leave it for now. That is now curative stage. Carbendazim.
We leave Ngenge for Kapchora district, just in time to witness Joan's Kolongei Women's Group transplanting the seedling for the main garden.
Okay.
We climb the mountain Elgon slopes to reach Joan's group garden, the group is preparing ridges ready for onion transplanting.
We are ready for transplanting, and here in the garden, while in the nursery bed, we've had some challenges. First and foremost, when we bedded our seedlings, we had drought, we did not have enough water. So we're moving a long way to the well to fetch water and then bring it to water the onions. But nevertheless, it did very well and it has worked out. It has germinated 95%. For red cod, and for red nice it has germinated 85%. For red nice it's the first time we are having it in Kapchorwa, but still it has done very well. But I'm not saying that the 15% is missing. I'm sure it's going to gain in the garden when we go to the field. So we are taking it to the field and I'm sure it's going to do better. We want to change the soil and see to it that it's doing very well. For red cod, it's also very nice, and we are good to go. We are now in the garden.
That's the mode of policy. The handles are very soft. It's okay.
Then this one we're going to put some ridges.
Ridges on top?
Yes.
Across or along?
Across.
You want to do across, why not along?
Which one is fair? Along is okay. Fine, we can go by that. Yes. As long as it works. We want something that will be able to control running water, soil erosion. Yes, that's why we use this method. We are also next to the forest, so it's purely cold here. So I want to put it with some distance.
Enough spacing for
yeah.
aeration around?
Yes, yeah, also there.
Okay, yeah, that's correct. But how about 4? Because this, if you are in a lowland, on this bridge which is 1 meter wide, in lowland you'll do 6.
Okay.
6 lines. Now here, how about if you do 4?
Let's try and see if it can work.
Since temperatures in highlands tend to get lower than those in lowlands, Taban advises the Kolongei Women's Group to plant 3 rows of seedlings on the onion ridges as opposed to 6 to create space and reduce chances of fungal diseases.
Here, for areas like this which has this kind of slopes, need a system where you plant on beds, so that in case of any heavy rains, your plants will remain on top, and then all the excess water goes down and it drains, it goes away. On that side of the weather, I have to look also on the weather of this area. This is a highland where by the night temperatures always drop below 15 degrees. In such areas, there's always higher chances of fungal development, and therefore for them to have a better crop here, they will need to have a serious note on fungal diseases. They can only manage it by application of fungicide, curative fungicide, and preventative fungicide. And then also they have to be keen watching on pests like thrips, aphids, mites. Those pests are economical to the plants, especially for the onions. They are sucking pests. Once they attack your onions, they take all the sugars, and then your plants will remain without any sugar. Remember, sugars are the energy for the plant to grow, and the sugars make the chlorophyll of the plant, the green color.
If phosphorus in the soil is low, then you need to apply the ammonium phosphate fertilizer.